The campus felt like a ghost town. Everyone had packed up and left for the long holiday break. Everyone, except me. I had an internship lined up that started right after the break, and it just didn't make sense to fly all the way home for a couple of weeks only to fly right back. So, I was the sole resident of the entire North Dormitory. At first, the silence was a welcome change from the usual chaos of college life. I could study in peace, blast my music without bothering anyone, and walk to the communal bathroom without waiting in line. It was bliss, for the first 3 days anyway. By the fourth night, the silence started to feel less like peace and more like a heavy blanket, suffocating and vast. Every creak of the old building, every gust of wind rattling the window panes, sounded 10 times louder. I started leaving my desk lamp on when I went to sleep, a childish habit I thought I'd outgrown. That night, I was jolted awake by a sound. It was faint at first, but unmistakable. The gentle, rhythmic thud of a ball bouncing. Thump, thump, thump. It seemed to be coming from the hallway. I sat up in bed, my heart starting to pound. It was 3 in the morning. Who would be bouncing a ball at this hour? I was supposed to be the only one here. I strained my ears, listening. The bouncing stopped. I told myself it was just the pipes, or the building settling. Old dorms make weird noises. I lay back down, pulling the covers up to my chin. Just as I was about to drift off, I heard it again. Thump, thump, thump. This time, it was closer, right outside my door. I froze, every muscle in my body tensed. I held my breath, listening. The bouncing continued for about a minute, a steady, maddening rhythm, then stopped abruptly. Silence descended again, thicker and more menacing than before. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. The next morning, fueled by coffee and a severe lack of sleep, I convinced myself I'd imagined it. The stress of being alone, the quiet playing tricks on my mind. I decided to keep busy. I spent the day at the library, then hit the campus gym, trying to tire myself out so I'd sleep soundly. That night, as I was brushing my teeth in the cavernous, empty bathroom, I heard it again. Laughter. A child's giggle, echoing from down the hall. It was a light, innocent sound, which somehow made it 1,000 times more terrifying in this context. I spat out my toothpaste, my hand shaking as I gripped the sink. I crept out of the bathroom and peered down the long, dimly lit corridor. Nothing. Just rows of closed doors and the eerie glow of the exit signs. The laughter was gone. "Hello?" I called out, my voice barely a whisper. "Is anyone there?" Only the hum of the ancient vending machine at the far end of the hall answered me. I scurried back to my room, locking the door and shoving my desk chair under the handle for good measure. I huddled in my bed, headphones on, music blasting, trying to drown out the world. But even through the music, I felt it. A cold spot in the room, a sudden drop in temperature that had nothing to do with the drafty window. The next day, I couldn't take it anymore. I needed to know if I was going crazy. I called my friend Sarah, who had lived in the same dorm her freshman year. I tried to sound casual. "Hey, weird question. Did you ever hear strange stuff in North Dorm? Like at night?" There was a pause on the other end of the line. "Why do you ask?" Sarah's voice was hesitant. "No reason." I lied. "Just the building is old, you know, makes noises." "Well," she said, lowering her voice, "there's a story, a ghost story. They say a little boy haunts the 3rd floor. He was supposedly the son of a professor who lived on campus housing here decades ago, back when this building was used for faculty. He got sick and passed away in one of the rooms. Room 313, I think." My blood ran cold. I was on the 3rd floor. My room was 305. Room 313 was just down the hall. "People say," she continued, "that when the dorm is quiet, especially during breaks, you can sometimes hear him bouncing his favorite red ball, or laughing." After that call, I was terrified, but also weirdly determined. I had to see. That night, I didn't hide. I sat on my bed, lights off, door unlocked, just waiting. Around 2 a.m. it started. Thump, thump, thump. The sound of the bouncing ball coming from down the hall, near room 313. My heart hammered against my ribs, but I forced myself to stand up. I opened my door a crack and peeked out. The hallway was empty, but the sound was clearer now, more distinct. It was definitely a rubber ball. Thump, thump, thump. Then I saw it. At the far end of the hall, under the flickering fluorescent light, a small red ball rolled out from the shadows near room 313. It rolled a few feet into the middle of the hallway and then just stopped. as if someone had caught it, but there was no one there. I couldn't breathe. My mind was screaming at me to slam the door, hide, run, but I was frozen, watching that red ball. A moment later, it began to bounce again, all on its own. Thump, thump, thump. Slowly, it started moving down the hall, towards me. It wasn't just bouncing, it was being dribbled. I couldn't see a hand, I couldn't see a person, but I could see the ball compress slightly with each downward motion, as if an invisible hand was pushing it. Thump, thump, thump. Closer and closer. A child's giggle echoed softly, seeming to come from the very air around the ball. I was beyond fear. It felt like my soul was trying to leave my body. The ball was now only about 20 feet from my door. I could see the scuff marks on its worn red surface. Then it stopped bouncing and rolled slowly, deliberately, right up to my doorway. It bumped gently against my doorframe and came to a rest. The silence that followed was absolute. I stood there, staring at the ball for what felt like an eternity. Finally, I heard a tiny voice, a boy's whisper, that seemed to come from right beside me. "Can you play with me?" I didn't scream. I couldn't. I slammed the door shut, my body finally responding to the sheer terror. I fumbled with the lock, my hands trembling violently, and jammed the chair back under the handle. I scrambled to the farthest corner of my room, pulling my blanket over my head like a little kid. I could hear faint scratching at my door, then the soft, rhythmic thudding of the ball against the wood. Thump, thump, thump. It went on all night. I didn't sleep a wink. As soon as the sun rose, I was out of there. I didn't even pack properly. I just threw everything into my suitcase and duffel bags, my eyes constantly darting towards the door. I didn't care about the internship or the cost of a hotel. I practically sprinted out of the building and didn't look back. I spent the rest of the break in a cheap motel across town. It was dingy and the bed was uncomfortable, but it wasn't haunted. I never went back to North Dorm. When the new semester started, I put in a request for an immediate transfer, citing a fabricated plumbing issue. I moved into a newer building on the other side of campus. Sometimes, late at night when it's too quiet, I can still hear it in my head. That soft, rhythmic thump, 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 and a child's whisper, asking me to come out and play.
Don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell. We upload fresh, original horror stories daily, and you won't want to miss what's coming next.